restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Merciful Father, I ask you right now for grace and mercy. I ask your Spirit to fill this room and bind the forces of darkness that are tearing at our hearts, the ones even that we have allowed to steal our peace. God, I am asking you for this city for mercy. There is a cry for justice, and there is a time for justice, but there is also a time that we need your grace and your mercy, God. I ask you as David asked, Lord, search my heart. Have mercy upon all of us. Lord, blot out our transgressions and wash us from our iniquity. Cleanse us from our sin. We know we are sinners deserving of your wrath. Even when we feel we are justified, your holiness is beyond our comprehension. So God, I ask tonight that your Spirit take the place of all evil and wickedness that resides in us. Prepare our hearts, not to speak from emotion, not to speak from our fear, but to speak the truth. God bless this council. God bless our mayor. God bless the city of Uvalde. Lead us all together as you have done before and will do so again, that we may all acknowledge our Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, the glory forever. Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll go to citizens input, item 4. And Jasmine? Jasmine Casas? Cazares?
Hi. Oh, there you go. Hi, I'm Jasmine Casares. I'm the sister of Jackie Casares. Is that better? And I'm also the cousin of Annabelle Rodriguez. I assumed Arredondo would be here today since he is a council member, because the majority of this is directed towards him, but it's okay. Arredondo was sworn in privately out of respect for the families who buried their children today and who are planning to bury their children in the next few days, McLaughlin said in a written statement. In his statement, the mayor said, Arredondo was duly elected, and there is nothing in the city charter, election code, or Texas Constitution that prohibits him from taking the oath of office. Arredondo said the swearing-in was a private thing out of respect for the families, saying the families are the focus right now. But was it out of respect? Or was it private because he knew the people that voted him in now want him out? If he truly wanted to be respectful, he would step down. After choosing to wait an hour for backup, instead of ordering scene officers to take down the shooter, he's proven that he cannot do his job. Who on this council is truly making it about us right now? The police department's too busy focusing on themselves and covering our back. What do you have to hide? Highly embarrassing information or methods and techniques and strategies preventing or predicting crime? Methods and techniques that obviously didn't work? Or did they simply not try? Whatever reason behind the choice was wrong, and it's time to take accountability for his actions. The actions of someone who doesn't deserve a position in this council. We are going to be respectful to the families, he said. I think most of us agree that the respectful thing to do is to resign and step down. Whatever is done, and the families quit grieving. Quit grieving. How am I supposed to quit grieving? Especially knowing he did nothing to protect my sister, my cousin, her friends, and her teachers. When you become a cop, you swear an oath to protect and serve. I understand you were scared for your life, but you chose this job. You chose a job knowing you could be in the line of fire. These kids didn't choose to be in the line of fire. That's in your job description. Who are you protecting? Not my sister. The parents? No. You're too busy putting them in handcuffs. I'm going to leave you with something that I hope y'all recognize. The law enforcement oath of honor. On my honor, I will never betray my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always maintain the highest ethical standards and uphold the values of my community and the agency I serve. Has accountability been taken? Was this oath upheld on May 24th? It wasn't. And I want y'all to know, remember my face and remember hers, because we will be here at every city council meeting until something changes. Thank you.
The next one, we can't read your writing, but it's Jesus.
Jesus, R-A-Z-R-A-I? Okay.
My name's Jesus Rizzo. Jackie knew me as Tio Chuy. One of the last, actually the last time I saw her was, she had her communion in Batesville, and my last dance that I had was with Jackie. We all gathered in Batesville at my brother's house, and it was her special day. She looked beautiful, looked like a little princess, the most innocent eyes. Most beautiful smile, and it's tough to see them hurt. And I'm here to speak not just for them, but to speak for the fallen ones, for the other 20 people that are no longer with us, all the people that were there that day. Yesterday we spoke at the Uvalde Consolidated School District. The main theme, if you will, had to do with accountability. We spoke about several different things, but I think the main thing was we're concerned why Mr. Arredondo, and he's a friend of mine, we went to school together. We used to hang out. A lot of people on the board at the Uvalde Consolidated School District were all friends. But I think at one point or another, ladies and gentlemen, we have to determine like what's right and what's wrong. You know, the people here, they're upset that Mr. Arredondo's still on y'all's board. He swore him in some kind of meeting, and you know, we understand that there's policies and procedures for things, but you know, surely something like that could have waited, at least out of respect. Get with the families and ask the families, you know, this is what we're going to plan on doing, you know, just so you understand how the things function. Mr. Mayor, I'm not going to give you your address out, but you're my neighbor. See you all the time, sir. When Mr. O'Rourke, and I'm not a fan of his, and I don't, you know, I'm not here to defend him by any means, sir. I don't go either way with Mr. O'Rourke, but that day, sir, you got up, you were righteous, you steadfast, tenacity. You got up, and you were almost godlike to send them out of here, out of the auditorium. I expect the same type of responsibility, sir, when it comes to accountability and holding those people accountable. We're not laying blame just on UCISD. City of Uvalde as well failed us, sir. Everybody failed us. We failed as as parents, we failed as people. We didn't see the signs. Somebody should have reported them. You know, anytime that something like this goes on, just flag them. It's that simple. I'd like to ask, and I don't know that they would actually accept the apology or the condolence, but any one of y'all, the most basic thing that we have is my sincere condolences. Hopefully, I pray that some of y'all went to their homes. It's not hard to find them. I don't know that they would accept your condolences at this time, but man, that's the most basic thing, the most caring thing. That's how you begin a healing process. The gentleman, and I apologize, the one that said the prayer, I don't know your name, sir. You prayed for the mayor. You prayed for the city of Uvalde. Great. But also we pray for the fallen ones. We pray for the family members. You know, you look at what we have here, and I don't know everybody, but yesterday that across the line you had the family members on one side and you had the school on the other side. Come on, is that really what we're about? Let's sit together. I mean, we got to work on this together, Mr. Mayor. You know, I will tell you this, sir. The people that work for you, I've been to your place. The people that work for you, they respect you, sir. There's elderly gentlemen that have been with you for a long time. You're a good person, sir. But got to do what's right, Mr. Mayor. And that goes for, you know, apologize, I don't know everybody's single name, but that goes for all of y'all. Yesterday I ended my thing just like Jasmine said. You know, we may not be able to hear the voices of the people that are no longer with us. We may not be able to dance with them anymore, as painful as it is. But just like Jasmine said, they will speak through us. We'll be up here until every single person's accountable for this, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Berlinda Ariola.
Hi, good evening. My name is Berlinda Ariola. I am the mother of Angel Garza, the grandmother of Amory Joe Garza. None of y'all knew Amory. I am on a roller coaster of emotions, just like everybody in this room is, that started on May the 24th, 2022. But the hardest two of them to contain is hurt and anger. The anger gets worse and worse every day, along with the anger gets more and more as we unfold everything that has been unfolding in front of us. The mere fact that Pete was even standing next to officers the day after all this happened, when they did the debriefings, or when they did the media stuff, that was already a slap in the face. He had no right to even be there, as we felt. He had no right to be there. Someone please explain to me how he's able to be out in public and show face and not even care about any of these family members, sitting out there waving and smiling like it was no big deal that 22 with Mr. Garcia lost their lives. All the other children that are suffering with PTSD and everything, and all the nightmares that y'all don't hear about because y'all don't know. Us as families, we keep in touch with everybody that's there. We hear the stories. We visit the children. We pray for those children. And with all due respect, all of y'all are looking at all of us talking just the same way that the school board looked at us. Like, y'all have no care in the world. Like, none of y'all are looking at us like with even an I'm sorry look. Like, y'all are looking at us like, just say what you have to say and get off the podium. I'm not going to sit here and name call, because I'm not going to stoop down to that level. I'm going to try to keep my composure as much as possible, because I've already stepped out of character a lot lately. Somebody that I thought that I had left behind in my childhood growing up, thinking I was all Billy Badass, and I try not to be that person anymore. But what happened to us on 2022 has made, and on May 24th, has made a lot of us uglier than we've ever been, because we don't have Uvalde ISD or the city council to back us up and do what you have to. I understand y'all can't fire him. We understand that. But why is it that we're told, oh, well, we can't, from the school, we can't fire him because that's an admission of guilt. We can't fire him because we haven't done our investigations. Well, city council is going to say, well, we can't impeach him because we haven't done our investigations. That's all fine and dandy. You do what you have to do, but get him out of our faces. And no, he does not deserve an administrative leave with pay by all means, because half these families are taking FMLA without pay. We're not getting paid to be off of work. None of us are getting paid. Some people are getting donations, which are great. They need that. But it's not just as far as their employment. It's also because they have to go to counseling. A lot of them are planning on moving away from this city, this town, because they're afraid. They can't even depend on the city or the police department to back us up on anything. They're going to have to uproot their whole entire lives. I see some of y'all already rolling your eyes like FML because you don't want to hear the truth. And I'm sorry that it has to come and it has to be thrown at y'all, but y'all are who we have to go to. We're having to beg y'all. We are having to beg y'all to do something to get this man out of our faces. We can't see that gunman. That gunman got off easy. So we can't take our frustrations out on that gunman. He's dead. He's gone. But then the next person in line is making it way worse for us. Y'all need to put yourselves in our shoes, and don't say that none of y'all have, because I guarantee you, if any of y'all were in our shoes, y'all would have been pulling every string that y'all had to get this man off the council. Every single one of y'all would have done whatever y'all could to get him out, because y'all know that it hurts. Y'all would feel the hurt that we feel. Y'all would know the hurt that we feel. And I'm sorry that I'm getting loud, but that's just the way I am. I'm Latina, and I'm going to get loud. But please do what you can to please everybody, because you know what? He didn't please us. He failed us. Do not make the same mistake he made and fail us too. Go forward and make it right. Make it right for everybody in here. We deserve better. Our children deserve better, and those teachers deserve better, and all these kids and all the families here deserve better. Please, please, we're begging. Get this man out of our lives, please. Thank you for your time.
Kim Hammond, you want to speak at 6A? You want to speak now, or you want to wait till 6A?
Oh, no. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Kim Hammond. I live at 613 Old Carrizo Road. Anybody familiar with that means I live 2 doors down from Robb Elementary. I was there the day of the shooting. So thank you for changing exactly what I was going to say, Mr. Mayor, because you said we don't have the power to fire him. Let me give you a simple out. You can remove him because he's going to vacate his seat. So your agenda number 6 is a decision on whether or not to give him a leave of absence. Why the hell would you? Let him miss 3 meetings. He's my councilman. Let him miss 3. Don't waste any more time on him. I know you probably all have a relationship with him. I don't know him. He's my councilman. I'm sitting in a district right now that no councilman has come to my door to say, hey, how you doing? There's 22 lives that were lost. We all know why. The investigation's going to come in and tell us all why and what we can do better. What you can do right now is not give him, if he requested it, a leave of absence. Don't give him an out. We don't want him. We want him out. We wanted to do a recall petition, right? We had so much enthusiasm in it right away. 162 votes, we need 25%, right? But we can't because he hasn't been in his seat for 8 months. That's BS. So then we thought, how do we change the charter? Well, it's already been amended. We can't do it for another 2 years, but you can do something right now, tonight, and not table whether you're going to decide to give him that leave of absence. I implore you, do not give him that leave of absence.
I don't know if this, because this is a special meeting, if this counts towards his absence, but if it does, that's 2. You only need 1 more. He's gone. Do the right thing. Thank you.
Brett Cross.
My name's Brett Cross, but I'm sure all of y'all are aware. I've been doing y'all's job. I have been demanding action, justice, transparency, and accountability, but that isn't my job. My job is being a father and a wind technician. Your job is to do what's right for our community. A job you are all failing to do by standing by and not fighting for any of the aforementioned. A leave of absence for Pete is not enough. Hell, if I fail at my job, I get fired. And that goes for everybody else out here. Why isn't that applicable for a man that didn't just fail his job, but failed every single person in our city? This doesn't just affect us, it affects every single one of you as well. Because if we can't trust you to do what is right, then it'll be y'all that we demand to come down. We may not be able to remove Pete by a petition due to the city charter. We may not be able to amend the city charter for 2 years due to state laws, but we can remove you. Each and every one of you that have been here for over 8 months. And that is something that we as a community, as you just saw, are not afraid to do. Everyone needs to be held accountable. Pete for his inaction, every other officer who didn't do a damn thing, and all of you for standing idly by while we hurt and beg for justice. So either stand with us and be Uvalde strong, and I know y'all keep hearing that and we keep posting it, or y'all can stand with Pete and be Uvalde weak. That's up to y'all.
Jonathan Hernandez.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jonathan Hernandez, and my little sister is Jacqueline Cáceres. As a leader, the top priority should be accountability and the welfare of the men and women you serve. A good leader is not one who cares about a promotion or about their own career. A good leader is one who cares about his or her own people / community, and it is a person who takes responsibility for their actions. They should know their weaknesses and seek self-improvement at all costs. Going back to looking out for the welfare of our community, keeping records of the unfortunate event that occurred on May 24th from the families of the victims is lowering morale and cohesion among the community and its elected officials. The private lawyers the city hired said that records could involve emotional and mental distress, yet keeping the truth, the exact truth, from coming out is inflicting even more of that distress. We have already gone through the hard parts, and we need to know all the facts to get some type of closure, and we'll continue to fight for all the truth and until all the truth is out. My family and I am sure that other families are also wanting to know exactly what happened at that school that day. A note from the Pledge of Allegiance says, "One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." Indivisible, it means unable to be divided. Yet everything seems so undivided, or seems so divided right now. Justice, we haven't seen any of that at all. All we have been seeing is arguments back and forth, pointing fingers. It was this guy's fault. It was this guy's fault. No, like I said before, we need to know the truth, and we need to know exactly what happened. Thank you.
Mr. Torres? Mr. Torres or Dean?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Donna Torres. I've lived in Uvalde, Texas for about 53 years, my whole life. I am so upset with this town. Man, I used to love my hometown, Uvalde this, Uvalde that. Now I'm so ashamed to be living in this town. Mr. Mayor, I voted for you because I thought that there was going to be a change to this town, but apparently not. The way I voted you in, I'm hoping that you can get rid of Mr. Arredondo and everybody else that is involved with this, that let us down. Because why are you here? Why did I, vote for you if you're not doing a damn thing? I'm going to make it short and sweet. Do your job, Mayor, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilmen, community members. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. I don't have children in the school district. I'm long past that. But I do think this is a critical time and a critical issue for this community. In case nobody knows, but you probably do. My name is Diana Olvedo Carew. I'm a resident of the city of Uvalde, born and reared in Uvalde, and a past student of Robb Elementary. I attended the then neighborhood school, Robb Elementary, from kindergarten through 6th grade. I was in George Garza's class in 1970, the year of the Uvalde school walkout, a walkout that resulted in a lawsuit that was not formally settled until 2017, 47 years later. That's a long time. On May 24th, 2022, a horrific mass shooting took place at Robb Elementary, while hundreds of law enforcement officials stormed onto the Robb Elementary campus, and 77 minutes after the initial call was received by dispatch, the gunman was killed. But not before several students and at least one teacher made desperate calls to 911 and to their loved ones, asking for help, pleading for help. Not before an active shooter trained law enforcement officer, many of them, probably all of them, on scene appeared to have forgotten that in an active shooter incident, you use any means necessary to neutralize or kill the active shooter. You don't wait. And not before active shooter trained law enforcement officers couldn't decide who was in charge. They kind of had a pissing match. Who's in charge? The public has yet to be told by the many investigations underway who was the designated incident commander that day. And in plain speak, like we speak, who was in charge? We still don't know, or at least nobody wants to claim the honor. But it is the consensus of the citizens of Uvalde that Pete Arredondo was in charge that day, and his failure to do his job resulted in the deaths of 19 children and 2 of their teachers. Tonight, this council is being asked to consider granting duly elected Councilman Pete Arredondo an extended leave of absence. He was duly elected. I know that you have a responsibility as city representatives to swear him into office and all the other things that go with Texas law. I understand that. But why is the leave of absence being considered? Is it because Mr. Arredondo knows that he will be unable to attend meetings without exposing himself to the public at least twice a month, and he obviously has no interest in doing that? Is it because Mr. Arredondo is trying to protect his seat until this whole thing blows over and people forget? That's not going to happen. Whatever the reason, by approving this leave of absence for Mr. Arredondo, if you do, you, the duly elected representatives of the citizens of Uvalde, are adding fuel to the raging fire. By approving this leave of absence for Mr. Arredondo, you are diminishing your leadership. In the eyes of the citizens, you were elected to serve. Mr. Arredondo was also elected to be a public servant. If he can't do so, then he needs to vacate his seat. Almost 1 month since May 24th, no one in any position of leadership has accepted responsibility for anything that transpired on that day. No one has been willing to fall on their sword and take personal responsibility for either what happened on May 24th or as a means of initiating the justice sought by the families of the victims since that day. Nobody is offering them anything to hold on to. It takes people of honor to be the sacrifice. It takes people that truly love their community to take the steps necessary to allow the healing to begin. It takes people of honor to do the right thing, even if it means losing their career, their position, and their status, because that, at the end of the day, is what it's all about. I began my comments by speaking about the Uvalde school walkout and the over 47 years it took to settle the lawsuit. Will the still predominantly Hispanic community of Uvalde have to wait that long for answers to all of their questions? And worse yet, will it take that long for a sense of justice to begin? I pray for our sake and for your sake that that doesn't happen. So tonight I ask you, do the right thing and deny the leave of absence. And let Mr. Arredondo fall on his own sword. A man of honor would do the right thing. From all the evidence that all of us have seen, Mr. Arredondo is not that man.
Ms. Salazar?
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I want to take this time to publicly thank everybody that came from out of town to help us. I think with everything going on, continuing to going on, and I am not a parent, so I'm not one of the parents that lost someone. But I am sure that if I had, I would be grieving. I would be very confused, and I probably wouldn't be sleeping. I do not want for all those people that came to help us to not ever, or to not know how much we appreciate it. Because this has affected everybody. We all show it in different ways. I know that in the beginning, I was very angry. And Jimmy and I just fell apart because he took it very hard working for UCISD. And one night, we were shattered in tears like you can't imagine. But it was that night that I decided I can't allow this to completely take over me, because I will be useless to my community, completely useless. What good is that going to do? And I told myself, you have to learn to grieve in a more productive way. And I have found ways to do that. I continue to water the flowers, and that helps me. Every evening, even if it's at 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning, I go and I water the crepe myrtles and the mums, and I see how they're flowering, and I think, they flower for those kids. I really believe that. They probably made them flower just to give me a smile, you know. Even though it was so hot that they really probably shouldn't be. But because I have found ways to cope, I was thinking, we cannot forget all those people that came immediately. They came from Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, and we were a complete mess. And it was when we were still in the surprise stage. After that came the anger, of course, and many of us are angry. But Uvalde needs to stay strong. Uvalde needs to stay united, and it's up to us to do it. I know that. I know that. It's up to every single one of us. We make the decision. We look ourselves in the eyes and say, what should I do? What's going to be productive for my community? Like I said, I cannot speak for the people that lost someone. That would be completely different, right? But in my case, what can I do? What can I do to help? And we should all say that, right? We should all say, what can we do? Is there something we can't do? Because there's no point in just making it worse. It's already happened. We cannot bring them back. We have to look at each other and say, what can we do? And I've seen it. I know I know I will never forget it. I know that person that gave me that hug that day, I needed it. I needed it. I really needed it. And it was just that one tiny hug. And sometimes that's all we need, just something that to keep us going. I'm sorry I took more than the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
May God bless y'all. May God bless everyone here. And I pray, I will for sure pray, big time, that God keeps us united. We do not need to go back. We do not need to do that. Thank you.
Rogelio Munoz.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a little bit different experience for me because for the last 14 years I sat with you all. But I felt compelled to be here today out of some concerns of what I've read, at least in the media, and what it's been told to me anecdotally. And that is that the city, or at least the city's attorneys, have sought to block public records requests from various media institutions seeking to find out the truth of what happened. And as the public knows, public information requests are requests that the public is generally entitled to that are request non-privileged information. And so I was deeply troubled to learn that the city's attorneys sought to block the release of that information. And as a former city councilman, I have some experience and knowledge of what it's like to be on your side of the table. And sometimes it's easy to look at it as a us against them mentality, because you're part, in a sense, you are a part of city government. But I want to remind you all that you are elected by your constituents to be a voice to city government. The children that died were your constituents. You represented them and you represent their interests. And they and their families deserve answers. And so you, as a body, should be angry, should speak up, and should demand that within the city administration that they provide more answers. For too long, since this happened, we've been told, look, it's law enforcement, we can't talk about anything. And today in Austin, the head of DPS said everything. So why is it that state senators in Austin can be given a full accounting of what happened, but the people or the family members can't be told what happened? Do they not deserve more answers than somebody in Austin who maybe has never even been to Uvalde? Now, I realize that a lot of this is out of y'all's hands.
I agree with you, Roy. I'm going to tell you this from day one, so everybody in here will know. I have raised hell with the governor, the district attorney, the DPS, and I'm going to give a statement tonight that's going to uncover some of this. But I'm just as frustrated as you, and we have a district attorney that we're going to release a letter tomorrow that threatened everybody with legal action if we released any of this information. I'm just like you. I'm fed up with it.
Because it's hard on the one hand to tell people, look, it's a law enforcement investigation, when the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Texas in Austin is making a full accounting to these elected officials. And the point I make is just that the community needs you to be advocates. These families need you to be advocates. And I know it's hard, and this was certainly not something anybody would have ever expected in a million years. But it has happened. And so I ask every one of you to be advocates, to demand answers from the city administration. You weren't elected to protect an institution or a department. You were elected to serve your constituents and the people. Thank you.
So, those of you that are here, we appreciate what you said. Somebody said we haven't apologized. Ma'am, I'm so sorry for what happened, and to the families. And I have been to see the families that would let me see them and tell them how sorry I am. I never would ever want to see this happen again. And I promise you, I'm not lying, sir, but you keep... I didn't. Because most of the funeral homes were told us that they didn't want any elected officials coming by their house. So they did. Well, I didn't contact anybody. I'm not saying I contacted. I was told by some they didn't want us to come by their house. The family members that I know, I've been by their house. Walking around. No. Just a politician. I didn't want to get involved.
Which I totally get. I mean, you went to school with my husband and you didn't come show face, but okay. All we're asking is that and that's already in the past. What we're worried about is the future, and y'all standing up for us in this future. That's what we want to do.
I can promise you, I'm going to be throwing people under the bus tonight with speech. Because too long, we've been told we can't talk, we can't answer, and we can't say anything. Today, that's over with. I don't know any allegiance to anybody, any government authority, or any district attorney in this county anymore.
Yeah, well, let's hear it.
We're going to start.
We were getting something from y'all that we couldn't even get to the school district yesterday. So that says, right, what y'all just said is a plus. So we're all here to listen, so let's go. You got our back, we got yours.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
My name is Daniel Meyer, I'm a pastor in Uvalde. To the members, yourself, staff, how many of you lost a child? The Robb?
I didn't lose any, but I had employees that did. I lost family, friends. His friends. Friends.
So, you didn't lose anybody directly. You hear the heart of the families. So, something's going to happen there for the good.
I promise you I'm going to do everything in my power that I can. That's all I can promise. I can't control the state or whatever, but I can promise you I will fight for our community and fight for these families. I'm not pushing anything under the rug. Well, what do you think I invited the Justice Department to come in here for? The DPS's stories changed 4 times in 4 days. You think I have any confidence there that we're going to get a true story? I don't. That's why I invited the Justice Department here, with state officials and federal officials asking me not to, because I want the truth, and these families deserve the truth, and we need to be transparent on what happened that day.
Mr. Mayor, when you want to stand in the corner and protest, I'm right there with you.
Okay.
Send somebody from Adam's office over here and talk to us. I'm right there with you. I'll back you up. But I speak with his families, for the families. They need answers. Not tomorrow, today. Today. Thank you.
Thank you. Afterwards, we will be answering questions to the press. I'm going to read a statement. Again, I'm going to name officers, not officers, but I'm going to name departments that were in that hallway so everybody knows what was going on. So now we're going to go on and finish our regular city council agenda, and then we'll go back to that afterwards. So item 5, consent agenda, 5A, B, and C. Consider the minutes of the May 10th, 2022 regular city council meeting, the June 7th, 2022 special emergency council meeting. B, consider payment of bills over $5,000 from May the 6th, 2022 through June the 17th, 2022. 5C, consider request from the IT department to decommission obsolete hardware.
I make a motion to approve item 5A, 5B, and 5C with the, I need a change in that we're voting at item 8A about the purchase for the landfill, and there's approval of the purchase of spending the money up before we vote on it. So I'd like to take out that off of the request for release payment, this $360,000. We'll vote on that here in a little bit. You understand my motion?
Do what? I'm sorry, Chief.
Item 5A through 5C, I approve with the change to 5B, removing the approval of the purchase price for the land for the landfill until we vote on it at item 8A.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve 5A, B, and C with the exception of the landfill property, which we will vote on in 8A.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 6, you want to pass that? Is, yes, Councilman Balky seconded. 6A, consider granting a leave of absence for future council meetings to Pete Arredondo.
I'd like to speak real quick. I've heard you guys, and this bothers me a whole lot. I had an idea when I came in here, I was going to do a very short grant leave of absence so that we had to vote on it over and over and over, so you guys wouldn't see him. But I don't need to talk a whole lot more. I make a motion we do not grant the leave of absence for Councilman Arredondo.
I'll second it.
Councilman Chief, I second that motion.
I second it too.
I'll second that motion.
Item 6A, I think it's unanimous that the extension of leave of absence will be denied.
Keep in mind, he has the right to show up to these meetings. But please don't come here and cause problems. I'm not saying you are. I just want to say,
Adam.
Did you hear what the motion was?
Did you hear?
No, I said let's let this. This is going to play out, and this is all going to be over with. That's what we want. That's what we want.
So on item 6A, it was unanimous to deny.
I can assure you, I'm going to speak with the mayor as well. We want answers, and we want truthful answers, and we will be truthful with you. You know, when we lost 20 people, that's our citizens. That may not be our family, but that's our citizens. And we want the truth, but it's got to work its course to do that. And we just ask for your patience on that. I know it's hard. We're mad. I understand.
Trust me.
I understand.
Item 7A, public hearing in zoning matters, case file 16-22PZ. Consider the request of Alma Ybarra. Applicant is requesting a zone change from residential 3 to residential 2A. Ms. Ybarra would like to build a duplex apartment on the property. Excuse me, the address. Lot 10A, City of Uvalde, Uvalde County, Texas. So A, staff comments.
This case is the one that you had a few weeks ago. You did not have 5 people, which is what you need to overturn a P&Z recommendation. And so we needed a full council for that. So that's why this one is back on the agenda. It was voted down by planning and zoning.
So this is the second time this has been before us.
Third
time.
Third time.
Let's open the public hearing and close it. I'm tired of hearing this one. That we need to
Okay,
close it.
we'll open a public hearing at 6:48 p.m. Nobody wants to speak? So we'll close the public hearing at 6:48:30.
Motion to approve item 7A.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman King, seconded by Councilman Balke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7B, case file 1722PZ, consider an act on the request of the City of Uvalde applicant amending Chapter 1702 zoning code adopted Title 17 zoning of the Uvalde Code of Ordinance, City of Uvalde, Texas. We'll open a public hearing. Or we have you first, don't we?
Staff comments. This is, as you know, we adopted some new zoning districts a while back, and this is a little fine tuning to that. First of all is to add a distinction between a duplex or a 3 to 4-plex. So that gives a little more flexibility in that one. It also cleans up the language a little bit on the mixed-use zoning. And then the last one was we had adopted a year ago or more some setbacks for the business district, and this just carries that setback over into those new zones. And this did pass unanimously.
Okay. Open a public hearing at 6:50. Anybody want to speak? We'll close the public hearing at 6:50 and a half.
I'll make a motion to approve 7B.
I second.
Motion made by Councilman Balky, seconded by Councilman Zamora. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 7C, case file 18-22PZ. Consider on act on a request of Carlos Garay. Applicant is requesting a zone change from industrial 1 to commercial residential 2. Mr. Garay would like to make his home, like to make this his home, but also keep its commercial district. The address is 423 West Main, NCB 52, Frederick Subdivision, Block 3, Lot 5, City of Uvalde, Uvalde County, Texas.
This one meets our future land use map where we had created some mixed-use zone on West Main. There are many houses on West Main, but because it's currently zoned business, we've had difficulty in the past when somebody wants to finance a home that has always been a house. The banks don't want to finance it because it's zoned for business, so we now have that mixed-use zone, and he's requesting that this property become that so that he can use the house as a residence. It passed unanimously.
Okay. We'll open a public hearing at 6:51. Does anyone want to speak? So we'll close public comments or public hearing at 6:51 and a half.
Motion to approve item 7C.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman McKean, seconded by Councilman Zamora. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 7E, consider file 20-22PZ. Consider an act on the request of Jorge and Maria Ramirez. Applicants are requesting a special use permit for an accessory dwelling.
We skipped one, sorry.
1922.
Oh, I'm sorry, 17,
Yeah.
7D, excuse me. 7D, case file 19-22PZ. Consider on the act on the request of David Clifford White and Annabelle Rocha White. Applicants are requesting a zone change from residential 1 to commercial residential 1. Mr. and Ms. White would like to extend their well clinic to this area and use 2 rooms. The address is 123 South Crisp Street, NCB 52, Frederick Subdivision, Block 3, Lot 12B, Lot 13B, Lot 14B, City of Uvalde, Uvalde County, Texas.
Okay, this one is actually in that same block as the previous case. We, in our future land use map and the principles of that, said that if you're going to change from a residential to a commercial use, we prefer to have that at an intersection and not mid-block. This is at an intersection. And I believe they just want to have a little private place in that neighborhood because they've run out of space over at their other location. But they would like to leave that as a residence because if this sort of experiment doesn't work, they could then, use the house as a residence.
Okay.
And it passed unanimously.
Okay. We'll open public comment at 6:53. If anyone wants to speak in public comment.
Ms. Anderson,
Go ahead.
was there any letters mailed out to the neighbors?
Yes, on this particular one, there were 18 letters mailed out. 15 of them were received. When we say received, that means we got a signed card back that somebody did receive that letter. We did not have anybody that spoke against this one, either by sending in a reply or by speaking at this previous planning and zoning meeting.
So all the letters you received were in approval of this?
Well, so basically what we do is we send them out, return receipt requested, so we know that of the 18 letters mailed out, 15 of them, we know someone got that letter, received it, and from those, nobody sent back a reply for or against.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion.
So we'll close public hearing at 6:54.
Make a motion to approve 7D.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Balky, seconded by Councilman Zamora. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 7E, case file 20-22PZ. Consider an act on the request of Jorge and Maria Ramirez. Applicants are requesting a special use permit for an accessory dwelling. Mr. and Ms. Ramirez would like to add a small unit dwelling in the back of the property for guests. The address is 240 Country Club Lane, NCB 1710, GIS, The Enclave at Uvalde Country Club, Block 1, Lot 11, City of Uvalde, Texas, Uvalde County, Texas.
This one is an allowable use in R1 zoning if you get a special use permit, so that's what they're requesting. We did mail out 20 letters, 14 of those were not received. Most of that particular neighborhood, I mean, it's not fully built out yet, so those were property owners that own a lot but that don't live there and for whatever reason did not, I mean, we mailed to whatever the appraisal district had as an address for that person. But we did not receive any letters back in protest of this. However, there were some people from the neighborhood that came and expressed concerns, and I believe the contractor is here tonight. He was there that night and talked to them about the concerns that they had. This case passed 5-0.
We'll open public hearing at 6:56. Did it pass 7-0?
It passed.
Okay. We'll close public hearing at 6:56 and a half. Have a motion?
A motion to accept 70.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zamora and King, seconded by Councilman Balky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 8, new business. 8A, consider to request to proceed with the purchase of approximately 80 acres of land from the Kessler Highway 90 Ranch Limited adjacent to the city's existing municipal landfill.
We all talked about this a lot. This is the final action on the purchase of that property for the landfill, future landfill expansion.
You want to explain what we're doing, Mayor?
Yeah, as you know, our landfill is filling up, so we have to purchase land adjacent to it. By purchasing this 80 acres, hopefully Uvalde, if it continues to grow like it has been, we'll have a landfill for the next 60, 70 years. But we have one cell almost filled, and then we have one cell left, and when it's full, we don't have a landfill. That's why we're purchasing this land.
And we're trying to avoid moving it farther out. Where we can hopefully adapt the rules that we have now, so that's why we're purchasing the land now. We may not need it to do anything for 7, 8 years, but we need, we're thinking ahead.
So, I'll make a motion
to approve 8A.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 8B, consider approval of ordinance amending chapter 12.28 of the Code of Ordinances Civic Center.
I've written a lot of ordinances, and sometimes I miss something, as y'all notice, but this one, I don't think I wrote it, so I didn't make this mistake, but we found that when we put this into ordinance, we had cut and pasted the wrong line. Facility were all correct. It's just the line in our ordinance didn't match. So we're correcting that one line so that it matches what the actual fee structure is.
Okay.
I've read that. A motion to approve item 8B.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman King, seconded by Councilman Levino. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. 8C, consider extending a declaration of local state of disaster due to public health emergency and local emergency.
Motion to continue that at this point. I'm not quite sure how much more we can do that if they change the laws on the
COVID
testing.
part after this, we'll probably do that off. The other one is just for the
Motion to approve items 8C.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman King, seconded by Councilman Balky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 8D, Consider final payment to Sanford Waterworks for the Hillcrest Cemetery irrigation project.
Okay, when we entered into this contract, gosh, it's been nearly a year ago. One of the open-ended provisions was the expense to put into for the installation of the pump. And these are those were proposals for time and materials. And this is the final bill that includes all those expenses primarily. Like I said, it's a little bit, it's higher than we thought. We already faced some increases for the price of the pump itself. And it took some time to get that, and then the installation was
And materials.
complicated, and there were materials too. I don't know if we talked about this very much, but we had a sort of a difficult issue with an unknown cross connection that was backfeeding the system. I think we solved that problem and found where that feed was coming in, so I think we're going to be okay with that now. That was capped off, and that should take care of that problem. So this is the final payment. It's obviously over budget, but we've got the funds to cover it.
I'll make a motion to approve 8.
Are we looking at doing the other half now?
Yeah, y'all had asked for that. It's, there's a lot of money involved in that one. It's about, I was gonna say twice as much as what this one was, but it probably, since this is expanded, but we're talking close to $400,000, I believe, for the next phase.
I'd like to push forward with that. Let's.
Y'all have made that clear. We'll figure out a way to fund that in the budget.
I'll make a motion to approve 8D.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Balky, seconded by Councilman Zamora and King. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 8E, consider contract with Uvalde Area Chamber of Commerce for tourism promotion.
Okay. We've had a number of discussions about this issue. This is a draft proposed contract with the Chamber of Commerce for the tourism program, assistance in managing the Civic Center. The document in front of, when you all approved to go ahead with this, there were some stipulations on the motion. One of those was to take our Main Street program and put that back in-house. So we're working on that. But this is the contract with the Chamber of Commerce for taking over, in essence, from the CBB and running the tourism promotion program. The document there that you have a draft on the agenda, I think there's a new one at the place. It brought to my attention that we didn't have a reporting requirement in there. That's in there now. The other issues of concern are, well, not so much concern. We have a little bit of a difference of opinion on how we should work out the payment. So as you all know from prior discussions, we've been interested on having tighter control over the funds. So what I've proposed is a limit on the balance of hot tax funds that they can have in their account at one time. We capped that at $75,000. And then I proposed an initial payment of that 75, sort of as the working capital, and then after that, for them to bill us on a monthly basis for the actual expenses. I think Mr. Yackel, the chamber director, would prefer to do that on a quarterly basis. I think he thinks the monthly is not necessary, but
I like the monthly.
y'all can decide.
I think the
that.
monthly is important right now.
That's what the council would prefer.
Yes.
And then the only other item that's not actually in there is we've talked about swapping buildings with them, and we're as part of the CBB program, the contract, we've always had the building that's been occupied by the group doing the tourism promotion. The chamber would occupy that. They have an empty space on North Getty. That's where we anticipate putting the Main Street program.
Yes.
And so that language wasn't in the contract. You've given me some parallel language to go with it. I don't necessarily have that. I don't have that to show you, but if you all would be okay with letting the city attorney review that and bless that part of it, it just has to do with it's sort of a reciprocal lease is what it comes out to be. And we say lease, but we don't charge them for that lease, and the chamber's not charging us for the lease of the building.
It won't fundamentally change this.
No, it won't change that at all.
Will they continue to pay for that building?
Well, I guess they'll continue, because the
Their
chamber
building will be
continue to
paid
pay
off and
whatever
ours
their
will be paid off.
obligation is on
Yeah.
the building. We're leasing it rent-free. I think we sort of like the idea of having Main Street closer to the downtown, even though it's on the feels like it's closer to downtown.
Motion to approve item 8E with the current wording of how the funding will be taken care of.
And working out agreements with city staff.
I second. You want to accept the question?
I second.
Mayor?
Yes, yes.
When this subject came up prior to the tragedy of May 24th, there wasn't really, in my opinion, from my observations of the city council meeting and the conversations amongst the councilmen, agreement and consensus about making this move. Actually, several of you were absent on the day that Mr. Yackel came to the council meeting. Susan Rios came as representing CVB. I, as a resident of Uvalde, am disappointed that, yes, Mr. Yackel took initiative and presented apparently an amazing proposal. I did request those documents and never received them, so I'm not sure why that happened, but irregardless, that thing moved very quickly. I don't think CVB was given an opportunity to defend themselves. You know, it felt like that. I understand Susan has taken another job. You're moving forward. Do you have measurable outcomes as part of the contract? I mean, we're going to give this organization a significant amount of money. I hope that the city is going to have measurable outcomes, not just we're going to do this, we're going to do that. A lot of times people come into a city, sometimes you grant businesses tax abatements and give them a break just so they come into the city. We have no measurable income outcomes occasionally. How many employees are they going to hire? How much are they going to pay them? You know, at the end of the day, the owner gets the bulk of the benefit.
They're going to be highly limited this time because, as you heard, they're only going to get $75,000. The CBB before had over $500,000 of the city's money.
And that's why I understand
with no accountability.
It's a lot of money, so measurable outcomes are important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are some performance, I've called them performance goals in the contract, and they look at increase of hotel occupancy, increase of hotel occupancy tax revenue, and then for the Civic Center, a threshold of 50% of the business that's here has to do with, let's say, overnight stays primarily, because that's the primary purpose of spending the hot money.
Okay. I had a motion from Councilman King, seconded by Councilman Balke, with city staff negotiating on the building. So all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. So there is no executive session tonight?
No, y'all approved the landfill. That was the only thing on executive session.
Yeah. So we're going to take 5 minutes, and in 5 minutes we'll come back. I'm going to read a statement, and then we'll take questions from the press and people.